Hello and welcome back to the USARK official channel, everybody. My name is Garrett Hartle, just a goof with the truth. And in this week's video, I'm actually going to report to you on some notes that I took because USARK actually had a board meeting last Friday right before the Pomona Reptile Super Show. Now, as you can probably tell from everybody's Instagram feeds, a lot happened in 2022, and the same is true for USARK. Now, here on this channel, you guys did an amazing job writing in and getting that competes bill stopped, but there's quite a bit of other things that happened at USARK. So here's 2022 USARK year in review. Now, teeing off with that Competes Act, USARK was actually the organization that found those Lacey Act amendments buried in a 3,000-page bill, and they were the first to begin reporting on it. Now, because USARK was the first to find that, they were actually cited as the organization to oppose those Lacey Act amendments in different DC publications, a lot of media posts, and many other groups spreading the name of USARK's organization, which ended up being, I think, a great benefit for USARK. With their initial discovery of these amendments in that bill and the work that they did to alert everybody to it, USARK also became the go-to source for all of the different animal interest groups. Now, later in the year, it became clear at the Tinley Park Reptile Show, some of you guys might remember this, that the regulations on Illinois animal imports were going to be strictly enforced and that reptile vendors at that show would be targeted by law enforcement. Here's what NARBC, the people who put on that show, have to say about what USARK did there. Thanks to several people involved in this effort to offer a common sense fix to a last minute issue. Special thanks as always to USARK once again, folks. And what USARK actually did for us, those of us who vend the Tinley Park Show, was arrange for a veterinarian certified by the state of Illinois to make sure that all vendors at that show had access to the health certificates they need and checked all the animals to make sure that they were healthy at the same time. So good job, USARK, and thank you to that vet. Now, USARK's primary focus is and should be federal regulation, but they actually do a ton to help out locally as well. Here's a couple of the other highlights from 2022. In Sioux City, Iowa, they imposed an extreme pet limit. You are only allowed to have 2 species of any kind and 3 pets total on every kind of pet except fish, hamsters, and guinea pigs. You know you gotta have those hundreds of hamsters, guys, right? You have to, but everything else is evil. USARK was actually the only organization that got involved in that ban going through and stopped it altogether from happening. Now, there was a big one, and a lot of you guys probably remember this, facing Raleigh, North Carolina, which was a blanket ban on all exotic animals, a very loosely defined term in the first place. USARK was able to get in there and reduce that to venomous snakes and a few large mammals, and they served as the expert consultant for the city councilwoman, Jen Davis. There was a ton of work involved in fighting that ban. Can you imagine living in Raleigh and not being allowed to have any pets whatsoever that weren't, one of a half dozen domesticated animals? These types of bans continued with one in Connecticut. It was an animal program ban, banning all, again, exotic animals in any kind of educational program. So, for example, like when I bring my snakes to my daughter's school when they're learning about reptiles, this would be a complete ban on those types of activities in Connecticut. USARK stopped this bill. We were the only pet industry organization to actually engage and testify in opposition to the bill there in Connecticut. Now, in the village of Pewaukee, Wisconsin, they proposed a complete breeding and sale ban with any kind of animal. Anyone there would not be able to breed or sell any animal whatsoever. USARK was able to get in there and get that reduced to only dogs and cats within those city limits. Big shout out to Madison Area Herp Society, who worked closely with USARK to ensure that happened. Now, here's another huge one at the state level. New York State proposed an animal import and shipment ban. This was huge, guys. They were basically saying almost no exceptions to bringing in any animals to the state of New York City. USARK got involved in that, and that ban did not pass. Now again, in Slaughterville, Oklahoma, they proposed a complete blanket ban on any exotic animal. Now, USARK was the only organization engaged in opposing that ban, and they actually managed to completely stop it in its tracks. Now, in Suffolk County, New York, they also proposed a blanket non-domesticated animal program ban, and USARK stood up in opposition to that, and because they, I don't think, even expected any opposition, they tabled it to do further research and see where that stands. Now, I hope you guys are noticing a pattern emerge where there are many times where USARK is actually the only ones in opposition to these, and they manage to be successful. That's not because USARK is some kind of magical organization, although they are very good at what they do. But guys, every single one of us as members of society should get involved with our local government. It might be the city, the county, the state, and stand up in opposition to regulations where people would try to alter your lifestyle because they don't understand what you do. There are many times that USARK actually managed to be successful just by being the only ones to raise a voice in opposition to these kind of uninformed and blanket bans that usually would have severe consequences that the people writing the bans never even intended for. Now, unfortunately, despite all of the great victories that managed to come about from USARK, we did have one pretty major loss in the United States, very major loss when it comes to the pet industry. And that is in Georgia, a ban passed on Burmese pythons and Argentine black and white tegus. Everyone within the state is no longer allowed to keep those animals, and those potentially could be gone forever. Unfortunately, this ban passed through fairly easily because so few people did stand up in opposition to it, and that is something we never want to see in 2023 and beyond. So tune in next time when we talk to Phil Goss, president of USARK, and ask him what's going on in 2023 and how you can get involved in making sure that people continue to be able to enjoy the animals that they share their lives with. Now, if you want to support USARK, you can become a member today by clicking the link below, or even just hit the like button and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Now, special thanks to all of you who watched this video to the end. Good night, America.